Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dixie Belle paint fans. How are you today? My name is Melissa. I am the owner artist at the Top Drawer RVA located in Richmond, Virginia, and I am Dixie Belle's newest brand ambassador. So welcome. Thank you for joining me today. You have made it halfway through the week, y'all. It's Wednesday. You're halfway there before the weekend, and I'm sure everybody is looking forward to the weekend this week. So today I'm going to sit on the floor and do my usual play with paint, and I'm glad you could come and join me today. I have a kind of different project. You guys know me for color and crazy stripes and whimsy and all sorts of fabulous Mad Hatter vibes. But sometimes, and especially in the fall, I like to bring things back to basics. If you are a Top Drawer follower, you were able to see me last weekend complete a couple sets of end tables, and I did a very basic finish on the weekend. I basically brought you all back to number one, how to clean, how to prep, and how to paint a project. And everybody really liked that finish. So today I'm bringing it back to basics, y'all. We're gonna go old school here. I'm going to replicate a finish that I did last year, approximately this time. And I had a very well received photo because I put my puppy dog in it. And the finish we're gonna do today is either called a black wash finish or a brindle finish, because I do have a couple puppy dogs and one of them is a black brindle and she matched the furniture perfectly. So I was calling it my black brindle wash, but all it is, you guys, is a one color, one coat paint wash. And it's very simple. It's very easy and anybody can do this. I promise. We are going to go on a little journey today and we're going to paint pretty much the entire piece. We're also going to add a little bit of Woodubend. But let's start with first things first. What did I do to this little washstand? What did I do to get it ready? Well, of course I cleaned it with my white lightning. Every project that I do is clean with white lightning before I begin, because it is a wonderful degreaser and it is an important part of prep to get your projects ready for paint. This little washstand was not without its damages. And here's the reason that I chose the caviar black wash that we're going to do today, is because of all of these damages. There was a really big hole here and a really big hole here from, at one point it would have had hardware on it that you could have put a key in and turned. Over the years, a lot of the times those huge pieces fall out and I was left with a pretty big hole. So I did some hole prep and patch. Okay, I filled those holes because they're very deep, first with wood filler, and then on the top of that I came in with my Dixie Belle Mud. Well, what's Dixie Belle Mud? Dixie Belle Mud is your handy dandy go-to for fixing holes, repairs for where you pulled out any hardware, or any big chips or problems on your piece. This will also repair veneer. It does a myriad of things. You could do raised stenciling. It's like kind of one of those things you should always have in your toolbox. So if you don't have your Dixie Belle Mud, grab some, because it is a very handy dandy tool. So it comes in three colors: black, white, and brown. I chose black today because the color we're doing today is black, okay? So you can see these holes here. The hardware was original to the piece, but it is a little bit broken and it wasn't gonna fit with what I'm gonna do. We're gonna be adding some really big, chunky cast iron pulls onto this piece. And I felt like these were not going to cut it. I wanna kind of make this a little bit more industrial, and we're gonna do it with one color. So I took them off and you can see the big hole that it would have left. So I filled these with my mud, and y'all, I did it this morning. It dries so fast. So fast. So it's dry and ready to paint right over top. You can get going. So I did Dixie Belle Mud. I did prep with white lightning to clean. I did not boss this project. This project has some issues. And the reason I chose the black wash is to cover those issues. And doing this finish does not need a boss prep, okay? So let's take some stuff down here and let's get started, shall we? You want to play with some paint? So what are we going to do first? Well, first we're going to fix this. See this hole right here? See this? See this? I don't want to see that. We're going to take some Woodubend moldings and we're going to cover that up. I don't know if you know at all that Dixie Belle carries a bunch of exclusive designs that are from Woodubend that are just offered through the Dixie Belle paint page. So if you haven't had a chance to check them out, if you go to the paint page that I linked above my head and click on tools, you will see Woodubend, and Woodubend's your magical tool for fixing all things holes, because you can replace it with teeny tiny little keyholes, or adding on a piece of decor. I thought about actually adding on some Woodubends to the front of this piece, but I felt like this square did not work well with the round shape. So I nixed that idea. We're gonna keep these on the floor, but we're gonna fix these holes with our teeny tiny little Woodubend keyholes. Check them out. So cute, right? Which you can paint right over top of, and I'm gonna fix these holes. So how do you apply Woodubend? Well, let me tell you, super duper easy. Woodubend moldings are bendable, stainable, cuttable, sandable moldings, and they're very easy to use. You just need some wood glue, which is also available on the Dixie Belle paint page. This is called Type Bond. This is what they recommend you use when you apply your Woodubend moldings. All right, so you're gonna need a heat gun or a hair dryer, and you need that to ensure that your little moldings are actually flat, okay? Because nothing is really truly flat. This is a pretty old piece, pretty vintage. Who knows if the surface is really flat? So by heating the backing of your teeny tiny little keyhole, you're ensuring that your piece becomes then really, really flat for your glue to be stuck on your piece. So we're gonna put a keyhole here, and we're gonna put 2 here. Once those are on there, that's gonna cover this damage in these holes, and it's gonna zhuzh this piece up. It's gonna make it look super, super fancy pants. So let's do it, all right? So I've got my tiny Woodubend molding, and I'm gonna put it on the floor. I've got a heat gun here on the floor, and I'm going to heat up the back of my Woodubend molding. I'm going to do this to every Woodubend molding because, like I said, you never know if it's really, truly, truly flat. And by heating it up, you're just ensuring that it's really gonna go flat on your piece. I'm going to put some wood glue on the back of this, not a ton, just enough. And I'm actually gonna mash it around with my finger because I don't want it to kind of run out. I wanna make sure that I'm covering all my edges. So let's take this Woodubend molding and put it up right here, okay? I'm gonna look at the front, I'm gonna make sure it's centered to the piece, and I'm gonna push it down. Once Woodubend moldings are on your piece, you're able to paint directly over top of them. They're pretty stuck on there. I always give it an extra little blast from my heat gun just to make sure that it's really stuck on there, making sure that it's flat to the surface. Do you have any questions about Woodubend? You got my undivided attention. Feel free to ask. I'm always available to help. And this is the perfect time because Dixie Belle is on here with me and they can help me too. Okay, so now that I've blasted that with my heat gun, I don't even need to tape it, but you know, I'm a safety girl. I'm just gonna throw a piece of tape on there to make sure that it is stuck and stuck well. So let's do 2 more. These are the exact same moldings. I order them in, sets of 6 or sets of 8 because I never know when I'm gonna need them. You might need 2 in a dresser, 1 in a dresser. You could put these behind the hardware as an accent piece. They're really, really a lot of fun. And another thing that you kind of should have in your toolbox, because the little keyholes are amazing and you can use them on anything, I just buy them and keep them handy, just in case. So I'm heating up the back of my little molding. I'm gonna take my glue, again, putting it onto the back of this piece, making sure that I've covered all of my edges. This is why I wear an apron and dirty old pants, so I can just wipe all this stuff on myself and carry on with my piece. So this is gonna let me hide this damage, okay? Because there was such a big hole there, even though I filled it with Dixie Belle Mud, I felt like I wanted to add something to it. And by adding this little molding, I'm gonna hide that damage and I'm gonna put the same one on the other side. So last one, let's do the 3rd one, and then we're gonna commence with painting. So it's Wednesday, middle of the week, halfway to the weekend. So exciting, right? Everybody needs a break this week. I'm excited for the weekend. I'm gonna add my wood glue. What are you guys up to this week? Anything exciting? Going away this weekend? Apple picking? Fall activities? Options are endless. All right, so let's see. Let's heat them both up while they're on the piece, making sure that they're even on the front. And now my piece is kind of fancy pants, right? It's zhuzhed up. I just dressed up my whole entire piece by adding these little Woodubend moldings. I fixed the hole, I covered the problem, and now we can paint right over top of them. Once they're on there, you're good to go. You could totally paint over top of it right now and you would be fine with that. I'm gonna give it a little tape just to be sure. You don't have to, but I like to. And now let's talk about paint. All right, so you can see on this piece, there's little issues. There's veneer issues. There's some stains on the top. I've got some divots out. I've now repaired 2 holes where the original hardware was, as well as the keyholes. This black wash that I'm gonna show you how to do today is amazing on these old oak washstands. This finish, you guys are gonna be so surprised at number 1, how fast it is, number 2, how simple it is, and number 3, how amazing it looks. I don't know, it's just super fall feel for me, and I like this industrial feel that it gives me. So I'm gonna push my drawer in. I can always open this cupboard and push out from the top and push it back out again. And we're going to apply some paint. You ready? You ready to play with some paint? Let's do it. All right. So for this project, you will need a spray misting bottle filled with water. You will need paper towel and you will need a paintbrush. You pick. What do you like? Do you like a flat medium? Do you like a mini? For this one, it doesn't even matter. This is my go-to brush. Look how well loved it is. Oh, this well-loved brush has had so much, so many painting journeys. And we're gonna get started, all right? So, black caviar, one color, okay? Not even a full coat of paint. And we're gonna transform this piece. You guys are gonna wanna bookmark this because this is something that, like I said, is fast and simple and easy, but that is super popular. Every time I paint this, it sells like lickety split, quick, okay? So let's do it. All right, to begin with, I like this finish because it's going to highlight all of these little features that normally you're painting over top of and you don't want to see. I want to see age. I want to see the life that this piece has had, and I want to see wood peeking through. So this is what we're going to do. You're going to rip off a paper towel because you're going to go through a lot of it, and we're going to take your brush, dampened or not, it honestly doesn't matter for this finish. Normally, if you're painting a nice smooth finish, you want to dampen your paintbrush to minimize brush strokes. You're not going to see brush strokes on this because we are just going to take this paint, put it over top. I'm going to do the whole entire piece. Remember, I'm just going to work on the front now where you can see me, okay? We're going to put this paint on, and I'm going to show you what happens. But next, I'm not even going to put it on thick. I'm just putting it on in sections. Now, for this finish to look the best, you're going to either want to spray your napkins or spray your piece. I like to spray my piece because now I'm going to start pulling this paint back. We're basically washing this little washstand with paint. We're washing the washstand. That's kind of funny. Sorry, but it is. We're washing the washstand. You are going to build up the layers that you're looking for to create a burnt out, industrial looking finish that's going to highlight all of these nicks and marks and things that this piece has been through. This is an old piece, y'all. This piece is pretty old. I actually think that somebody might have handmade this back in the day. So I want to see the life that it's had. I want to see all the gouges and the marks and the scratches and the burns, and I want to see all that stuff because that to me is interesting on a piece. Nobody wants boring furniture, and this is a great way to make your furniture stand out. So now that you can see this small little section, you have the opportunity. Do you want to add some more? Do you want to add a little bit more caviar into these sections? I always like my corners and my crevices to be a little bit darker than everything else. So you're still going to use the same paper towel. You can wet it, like I said, or you can wet the piece. But I'm just going to start to remove some of this finish. You can do this by either patting, like I'm patting, or gently wiping. You're basically blotting back this paint to get a authentic, burnt out industrial finish. Yes, right now you see where I put the mud because it's a little bit darker, but I'm going to show you a way to get rid of that so you're not even going to see that mark at all if you wanted to put your hardware over here. But I have a feeling my hardware is going to cover it because I'm going to get some big, chunky wrought iron hardware. What do you think? So cool, right? Look at this finish. I'm going to turn you around a little bit more, bring you a little closer. Basically, this is what we're going to do to the entire piece. Now, I know you're judging me right now and saying, what is she, nuts? That doesn't look finished. That doesn't look good. Oh, yes, it does. When this dries and this wood peeks through and you've darkened your corners, because I'm going to show you with some black wax if you'd like, how to get this really cool burnt out industrial look, it looks like $1 million. It looks really, really good, especially when it's on the entire piece of furniture. What do you think? Throw me some hearts, throw me some love. Let me know if you like this look, if you think you'll give it a go. You can do this similar style, similar look in whatever color you like. Do you want to do it in white? Go for it. It looks amazing. All of these really old kind of oak dressers or oak pieces, these washstands, they just look the best when you do this kind of washed out finish. So good, right? What do you think? I want to get some responses. I want to hear what you're saying. Throw me some thumbs up, throw me some hearts. Show me that you actually like this look. So now that I darken this little tiny area where the mud was, remember the mud was over here? When this dries, you're not going to see that. If there was a big burn on here, which, no joke, majority of these pieces usually have a big burn mark on them somewhere because they were pieces that people used in their kitchens. They worked on these pieces. Most likely they would be on the top, but I've had them everywhere. You're not going to see marks because you're going to get this variegated, washed out, really pretty finish. So let's see. Hi from Richmond, Virginia. That's where I am too. We're neighbors. How are you? All right, so let's continue on. So I'm going to take my blue tape off because it really doesn't need to stay. My Woodubends are stuck on there, and we're going to continue this process all around the front of this piece. So I do apply the paint a little heavier on spots that have been repaired or on the Woodubends because that is where the paint is going to stick. You want it to be a little bit darker there so that you can blend it in to the actual rest of the piece. The reason I work in sections is because you're not wanting this paint to get dry, okay? You're just taking it, spraying your paper towel, and building these layers, building this wash. Like I said, you can pat it, you can do tiny little circles, you can pull back more paint on the topper piece right here, this little layer, this little piece of wood. This, when it's finished, becomes almost like it's being stained in black. It's almost like it's being stained and looking beautiful and deep. Can you see how cool that is? It gives you a really, really pretty look. Personally, out of all the finishes that I do, one that looks like this is more likely to stay in my home. This is kind of my style. Something that looks worn out, that looks authentic. So when you get too much paint on there, just chuck it away. Grab another one because you don't want to deposit more paint on there. You want to be able to just kind of control how much you're putting on as you're working. Remember, I'm going to always apply it a little bit deeper on the corners. I'm going to apply it a little bit deeper around where the mud was. So now you can see this Woodubend. I can actually still see the wood peeking through. So let's darken it up a little bit more. You can do this with paint, like I'm doing right here. You could just brush it even. This part could be darker than the rest. There's no rules to this finish. But now you can start to see why I call it my brindle finish, because it's this black brown that looks exactly like my puppy. I should actually legit call her over when I'm done so that you can see how close this matches her. I always use her in my staging whenever I take pictures of this finish because she just looks so perfect with it. She looks so good. All right, let's see. I'm seeing some comments come in. Let's see. For some reason, my comments were up at the top. Let's see. If you're an old desk, you'd like to try this on. You know, honestly, the more old and beat up your piece is, the better this finish looks on the piece. You just keep going. You just keep plugging away and painting, applying this paint. And again, one color, not even a full coat. You could probably sit on the floor and get an entire piece done within an hour. No joke. This is the fastest of any finish that I do, because you're just wiping it back. You know, more time is probably spent in the fine tuning. When it does dry, I like to come in and add that tiny little bit of more dark wax in the corners. We're going to do that together too once this dries, because hey, since you're not using a full coat of paint, this dries awful lickety split quick. Super fast. Super fast. So I'm just going to keep applying the black again right over top of those Woodubends, and we're going to just keep wiping it back. Don't forget that some of these old pieces too, these old oak pieces, they're kind of stinky. Don't forget that you can use something called Big Mama's butter. Let's see if I can find one. Big Mama's butter is available in a couple really pretty scents. This just happens to be Orange Grove. I wish you guys had a scratch and sniff option because it's so good. It's by far my favorite smell. This piece, this washstand, will be cleaned inside, which I haven't done yet. I'm working on the outside first. And then I will apply a whole bunch of Orange Grove to it on the inside to combat that musty smell. Because y'all know what I mean when these old oak washstands, they can be kind of stinky, kind of smelly. You know, just that smell of age, the smell of old, like musty barn smell. I think oak is a very porous type of wood, and it tends to hold the stink a little bit more than some of the other stuff. So by making sure to clean the interior with White Lightning, and then coming back in and making sure to apply that really delicious smelling Orange Grove is going to get rid of those musty, dusty smells. Look at that pretty wood peeking through. Isn't that good? You guys want to come in a little bit closer and have a closer look? So good, right? Isn't that pretty? It's literally like you're washing the paint onto the piece, and then you're able to peek that wood, see it peeking through, and do it. And now look, see right over top of those Woodubends? You can't even tell that there's big giant holes there. I put a piece of tape here just so I could open and close my cupboard. And because there is no more holes, I took those holes away. We're gonna leave the paint and I'm gonna paint around it for the sake of this video so that I can still open my cupboard. But look at how well those Woodubends blend in and cover those holes and dress up the piece, because I'm not joking, the holes on this piece were probably as big as a quarter. So it really needed to be covered up. And by using the Dixie Belle Mud and then applying those Woodubend moldings, I was able to just get rid of those holes. If you want less of the paint to be applied, you can use the water as your tool to kind of like move it around and pull it back. But I like to put it on a little bit heavy, make sure it gets in all the crevices, because then when you wipe back, it sticks in those crevices. You know, it sticks in those holes and those marks that I want to see. And it applies kind of like a little bit of a distressed look to the piece. You know, it just gives it that age. I want to see its age shining through. I like old stuff, crusty and rusty. It's my fave. Okay, so again, at this point, too much paint on my little napkin. You're just gonna put it aside. This is the reason I should have stock and paper towels, but I do not. Let's see. Good morning in Sydney, Australia. How you doing? Thanks for watching. Okay, so again, circular motions if you prefer. You're gonna find the technique that works for you. It's kind of like when you hold your paintbrush. Everybody holds their paintbrush that little bit of a different way. I like to just kind of wipe it off and then do the circular motions, but I don't want it to all be the same. I want little areas to be lighter than others and being able to see that wood just peeking. What I don't want to see is brush strokes. So when I'm doing this, I'm making sure to really kind of wipe back those brush strokes. If you felt like you didn't want to apply this with a brush, you could use a sponge, or you could even use like a foam applicator pad, whatever you have on hand to get your paint on there. It's not a true paint, like a one coat paint. You're literally just getting in here and wiping that paint back and washing this whole area, controlling the amount of paint that you put on your brush. You can kind of even do like a little bit of a dry brush. So if you wanted these little corners darker, you could go in here with your brush and just add that little bit more paint. Got these little cupboards pushed in here a little bit far. There you go. But I definitely like the corners a little bit darker. And I like it to be looking old. Okay, so this is now the front of the piece. What do you think? What are you thinking about this look? Let's see. It would look good on the inside before I put the Big Mama's butter. It would, but then you're making extra work for yourself. I mean, usually the only thing I do on the inside is, besides clean it and add the butter, I might do some decoupage on the doors or something just for some, you know, fancy pants, zhuzh it up. But yeah, it would look great. I'm gonna bring you in close again so you can nice look at this finish, and you can see how the wood is still peeking through, and it's giving you a really nice wash. What do you think? Do you think you can try this? I really think that this is a simple, classy looking finish. Like, it's a classic looking finish. When this dries and you seal it, what you're able to do with your clear coat in flat. The reason I like flat is because it's a nice matte finish. There's no shine when you apply clear coat in flat, okay? And with Dixie Belle products, if you did decide to come in here and do some black wax, which sure we can do some over here when this dries up a little bit more, you're able to interchange. You could do your black wax first, seal over top. You could seal it first, come in and do your black wax. You're able to interchange the way that you use these products with Dixie Belle paint products. Because they are water-based, they work a little bit differently than other products that are out there. You're able to change it up. Okay, so looking at this, I'm seeing this is still wet. I'm seeing areas that I love. I love this wood peeking through right here. I love how it's darker over here on the edges. It's a really pretty look. So let's do the side, and hopefully we can get the front of this dry, and I can play with some black wax and show you a little bit more ways to accent this. Let's see if I have enough room. Oh my goodness, I might not have enough room. Can we see? Yay, we can see. So how's everybody doing? You still hanging in? Still doing well? Let's continue. Once again, just my little brush and my black paint. Simple. If you felt like looking at any of these products to order, I did include my link above my head. You can use that. It will take you directly to the Dixie Belle paint page. And what's gonna happen is you can find your black caviar paint, you can find your black wax. The only thing you're not gonna find is your brushes, because due to COVID, right now their stock is a little limited, so they're coming in small little batches. But if you wanted to go on there and sign up for the reminder about when they do come into stock, which I do all the time, and then order them, you're good to go. So now you can see what I mean. This piece is far from perfect. The top of it has been broken and it's now in like 2 parts. But guess what? That's better for me. I like that. I like that character. I like to be able to know that my piece has had some serious life to it. There's nothing boring about a vintage washstand that's been around for like, who knows, 150 years, maybe more. All right, so now that I've coated this area, remember you kind of want to work in small sections. I'm gonna spray it so that my paint is still movable. And I'm gonna do some small circles. And I'm gonna do some padding because I kind of like that texture too. I don't want it to be super perfect. I want it to be a little bit more rustic. And we're gonna wipe back some of this finish. How about after I finish this today, because you know this is going to be done really fast. This is the fastest of all the finishes. I will do a little post on my Top Drawer RVA page of all the pieces of furniture that I've done in this technique. Because even though they're all very similar, because they're number 1, beat up, number 2, usually damaged, number 3, probably oak, they all look totally different when they're done. Some of them are more black than others with the wash. Some of them I've done like barely any paint and just pulled it all back. The look that you get when you do this is kind of different every single time. So, like I said, I like to leave it a little bit darker in the corners, knowing that that's normally where the age would be and the dirt would be. How fast was that? That whole side got done in like 2 minutes. Super fast, super fast. What's everybody saying? You hanging in? You love old pieces? Me too. Oh my gosh. I would much rather have an old rusty crusty piece than like a shiny new piece that's got to be glossy and, you know, fancy. I mean, everything has its place, but to me, this is the best. Okay, so I see a little spot where some of the water kind of came down. I'm going to fix this area before we get too far, because you kind of want to work with it when it's wet. You can reactivate the paint a little bit, but it's going to pull off a little bit more on the section if it's being sprayed again. So see this? See what I mean? So look, I wiped really hard right now on purpose. You can literally wipe the paint off. So I'm gonna just redo this section to kind of get it back to even again. I'm actually gonna redo the whole door because I don't like the way that looked. Let's redo it, we're gonna fix it. Grab some more paper towel. Told you, you're gonna go through a whole roll. All right, so I'm gonna add a little bit more depth down here. Remember, you can take your same brush and like dry brush this black on if you want more in certain areas. Ah, totally forgot that I just painted that side. I just grabbed it. Let's fix that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about wax and how we can even accentuate these little sections even more, right? Let's see. They do hold up better. I agree. I'm slowly changing all of the furniture in my house to old vintage pieces because who doesn't want solid wood? Who doesn't want pieces with character? I mean, I know I do. It's just what I like. Also, this is very messy finish. Wear gloves if you want because you're going to get it everywhere because you're wet and mashing that paint around. There's that technical term again, mashing paint. Okay, so let me show you. So let's pretend that this whole thing is dry. And you're looking at it and you're judging it and you're saying, you know what? I want to add a little bit more darkness up here. I want to darken my edges even more. You're going to get out your easy peasy Best Staying Wax. Best Staying Wax in black because I'm using black, obviously. How well loved is that container too? Y'all, there's no joking around here. When I say I do stuff and I use stuff and I'm showing you what I really do, this just proves to you that I use the heck out of my products. Nothing I do is gentle. I'm really rough on everything. So I have a couple brushes on the floor. All right. You've got your French tip. I've got an old makeup brush. It depends on what you like to use. I just happen to be obsessed with old makeup brushes for doing my black wax. I'm going to come in and just add a little bit more darkness around the corner. Remember I told you you can seal it first and then come in and add this black wax? It's up to you how you want your finish to be. You don't have to be locked in to doing it either way. Either way is going to work. You could wax this piece, but I find that waxing, because we're putting on such a light layer of paint, sometimes pulls some of the paint off. So I prefer to come in with my clear coat in flat because it's a nice flat matte finish and seal it that way. So I'm just going to come in and add a bunch more black to my edges. I just want these corners to be a little bit more dark. And again, it's kind of hard to see probably on the film, but this is a great way to deepen and darken the corners. If you felt like your Woodubends aren't dark enough and you wanted to darken them more, this is how you would do it, by taking your black wax and making sure to cover all those edges. How cute is that? So cute. That Woodubend is so cute. Like this, I can see a little tiny spot where paint really didn't get in the corner. Let's mash some black wax in there. I love black wax. Absolutely love it. I'm gonna add some more into this corner. If you wanted to, you could add gold to this piece. This would be a great candidate for the new gemstone mousse in golden gem. You could lightly touch. I'm gonna wait on this, on the golden gem, because you know, I don't know yet if I wanna do this really big, black, chunky wrought iron hardware. And if I do, the gold's not gonna work well with that look. But I also have old gold hardware in the shed that I save. I save all of my things. If I take these hardwares off, like I remove the knobs from this piece, I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save these and put them somewhere because I might use them on something else. I'm a big recycler of my things. And you always find exactly what you need, especially for an old vintage piece, because you're not gonna find these anywhere else. I mean, these were original to the piece. Look at that, crazy good, right? So I could go gold, and if I went gold, I would definitely come in with my gemstone mousse and touch all of these areas, and it's gonna look so delicious. But I haven't decided yet. The hardware will depend on what's coming to me from Hobby Lobby, because I don't know yet what they have in stock. And I don't want to commit to gold until I know I can get the hardware that I want. So how would I like the, okay, so the question is, how long are you gonna let this dry before you seal it? I'm not gonna lie. I've done these pieces from start to finish, thrown that fan on and sealed them as soon as it physically was dry. I feel like you can do that with this finish because it's like kind of like a movable, you know, rustic looking finish. I'm okay with doing it right away as long as it's dry. I would wait until it's dry. Normally, if this was like a regular painted piece, I would definitely be waiting, you know, about a day before I'm doing my sealing. But on a piece like this, when I'm coming in and doing this rustic finish, I do it really fast. I've done these pieces from start to finish with this black wash in a couple hours. It's whatever you're comfortable with. If you want to wait for it to be, you know, more dried and cured, you totally can. But I don't see the need when I'm wiping this finish back and this paint application is so light that there is no need to wait a ton of time for stuff to be dry, because it's going to dry really fast. Trust me. Like I said, this is just such a light coat of paint, and the wiping it off is just going to make it dry probably within an hour. So we'll work on this side. So this whole entire piece is going to be done like this. See this old crack that's right here? That's okay. I like that. I want the old crack. I'm going to accentuate it and wipe it back, and this paint's going to sit in that crack and look super good. So right now I'm just making sure all the paint covers all of the wood. If there's any divots or marks or places where I want the application to be a little heavier, that's where I won't wipe it back as much. And like I said, work in sections because this application is very light. You're going to want to be able to do this while it is wet. You don't want to be trying to pull back paint when it's dry. You want to work while it's damp, while it's movable, and get this finish really looking washed on. Oh, I absolutely love it. It's one of my faves. I hope you guys like it as much as I do. I mean, maybe I'm crazy and people don't like it as much as I do, but I have a feeling since when I list my items and sell them, these black wash finishes are more popular than anything else I do. They sell so fast because I think they suit kind of everybody's look. They're not farmhouse, you know, they're not shabby chic. They're not like super high gloss MCM. This is kind of a muted, beautiful finish that fits anybody's home. I've seen it in all different styles. Can you see how good that looks down there? So good. Oh my gosh. I absolutely love it. And again, super messy. You're gonna get dirty when you play with your paint, but good. I think you should get dirty. I think it's important to have fun and get messy. Because if you're not messy and having fun, what fun is that? Make sure that you cover all the edges, okay? Everywhere where there's wood. And then as it dries, you're gonna start to see areas dry differently because you're applying it differently. Heavier in some, lighter in some. It all depends on how much you're wiping back, how hard you're pulling. So let's come over here and add some dark wax to this little section. What do you think? Would you put this in your house? I mean, I would. I would keep it. This is the benefit of being a furniture painter, is deciding that you want to keep it for 6 months and then change your mind and paint something else. You totally do that. So now you can tell how using this finish by just like dry brushing your paint on, wiping it back, you're able to get this burnt out brindle look. I always call it my brindle look. I still haven't redipped my paint. I'm just really kind of sticking it on a little bit thicker, a little bit darker in certain areas, just because I like the look of that really variegated finish. What do you think? We're all good? Let me put my specs on here and see what everybody's saying. I feel like I've been ignoring you. I've been busy painting because I love it. I love it. Have you ever done a muted wash in a lighter color? Yes, I have. You can do this in any color you want. I really like it in black caviar, in midnight sky, and I've done it in cotton as well. It's really, really pretty. So let's see. Or 2 different colors on the finish. I mean, you're the boss of you. You could do this look on any style of furniture. I really find though that the old thirsty oak, like this old oak, when you get it on a washstand, this really works the best for this look. Damages, that's fine. I don't mind. I actually kind of like them. I want to see these marks. I want to see these little, areas. These pieces, these washstands are usually handmade. They're not perfect to begin with. Why try and make them perfect? They're not going to fit that period. You want them to fit and look authentic. And to me, adding, dark wax around the corners, seeing this wood peek through just makes it absolutely beautiful. So now I'm going to show you why I call this my black brindle finish. Let's move everything out of the way and see if I can't get my puppy dog in here, because she is my inspiration for this look. She matches it 100% perfect. So I'm going to give her a little call. Stella, come here, Stella. Here she comes. Here she comes. Hi, big girl. Come here. Can you come over here? Go, girl. You gonna step on my mic? Come under. Come here. Come here. Stella, she's afraid of all the paint things on the floor. I have two, but this is my girl that inspired this finish. She inspired this finish, this piece. She is my black brindle, my brown and black brindle boxer who matches this finish 100%. She is going to be definitely involved in the staging when I stage this piece. She matches so perfect. So there you go. Now you have learned how to do my black brindle finish, my black burned out finish on a piece of furniture. This just happens to be an old oak washstand that's had a lot of life over its past 100, 150 years. And now it's had a new life by being painted with Dixie Belle paint. So let's give you a quick recap of everything we did today so that you know how to do this for when you come in and try your own black brindle wash. I cleaned this piece with White Lightning. I did not need to boss. You don't need to boss with this finish if you're going dark. I would suggest you use boss if you were doing a light color like fluff or cotton. You want the wood to peek through, so you're going to need your spray misting bottle filled with water. This is what's going to allow you to pull that paint back, to pull that paint off and get the finish. I applied 3 Woodubends to the piece on top of my Dixie Belle Mud where I had to do some repair work, and I used one color, black caviar, applied with the brush, sprayed and wiped back. She's going to want to run away now. Are you going? Get away. Are you just scratching yourself? It's crazy. Messy. She's going to get paint on her. I'm going to get paint on me. But now you've learned how to do this black brindle finish. So once this dries, you can come in and add some more black wax if you want. You can darken it up. If you were going to add gold hardware, I would definitely recommend the new gemstone mousse and golden gem to accent all of these pieces. I'm personally going to be doing a really pretty heavy wrought iron for hardware. Where are you going? You all done? See you later. And I'm going to keep it black. So I don't think I'm going to be using my gold on this piece, but gold looks amazing on top of these accents as well. So by controlling how much paint you're pulling off, you're giving all of these flaws on the piece some serious detail, and it looks so good. What do you think? Do you love it? Was it fun? Did you learn? I think that everybody should try this. This is a beautiful, basic finish. It's fast. You can seal it with wax. You can seal it with clear coat. I'm going to be using my clear coat in flat to seal this piece today. Besides the fact that it's simple, like I said, it's lickety-split quick. You're going to be able to do a whole entire piece of furniture really fast because you're using less than 1 coat of paint and you're able to get it dry fast, seal it fast. This will be done in the next couple hours. Stay tuned. I'll have it posted on my page tomorrow. If you're not following me, I would love it if you came over and followed me. My page is linked above my head. My name is Melissa. I am the Top Drawer RVA. And I love to get messy and dirty and play with some paint. So it is a quick finish. I'm glad you liked it, Gloria. And now you all get to see my puppy dog too. She is my inspo for this piece, this beautiful black brindle. Give it a try. I think you'll like it. It's a good one for beginners, but you're gonna find that you might fall in love with it and paint all the furniture in your house like this because it's kind of industrial, but still a little farmhouse and a whole lot of cool. So that's it for me today. I hope you all had fun, and I will see you next week at 3. I'm live every Wednesday, 3 p.m. on the Dixie Belle Paint page, hanging out, getting messy, playing with paint. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. I'm always available to help. And if you wanted to shop these colors, it's just one, Dixie Belle Caviar. And you might already have it in your closet, so give it a go. I will talk to you guys later. Take care. Thank you and have a great day.